Oh, are you recording already?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fast.
At a click of a button, baby.
Yeah, like I'm used to you like putting this on and like doing this.
I
And,
know.
like, I'm like, what?
I've simplified the process for you.
Look at you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I am everything. You're the star. I do everything else to make you shine bright.
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you.
Well, look at you.
But welcome in, you guys.
Yeah, welcome to the last podcast of season 1.
The
last
last
episode.
podcast. Well, the last episode of Doing It Raw.
What?
Of Doing It Raw.
Relationship.
There you go. Everybody give him a clap. This is cool. It had like this is the 18th episode, and it has been crazy
Our
because
podcast is an adult.
our podcast is the 18 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh man, no. Because then what happens when we get to like episode 300? Then we like 300. No.
Listen, you know,
But it does. It's crazy because it doesn't even feel like it's been that many.
no, we started releasing episodes in March,
Mhm.
April, and here we are.
Yeah.
We grew to the point where we've had multiple guests impact our audience and into its own show as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. And
we're just getting started.
yeah,
the
that's what
case,
I'm saying. Like we're just getting started and like it's been really, really good already.
Yeah.
And I want to apologize in advance because I've been sick and my throat is just weird right
Yeah.
now. So I'll be coughing and all that. I'm sorry, guys. Now I know how you felt last time.
When?
Where you're like, oh, my voice. I was
Oh,
like, who cares?
amazing. Yeah, like,
And now
girl.
I'm like, oh, my voice. But yeah, we have a treat for you guys on this last episode, number 18. We wanted to end with a bam or a boom or
A bang.
a bang. I was getting there. Slowly.
You're finding the Batman like boom, bam, bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, so we are ending this with a bang
Yes, we are. Season 1.
of this season 1, and I am so excited. Our guest, she is just incredible, and I say this about all her guests because they are incredible people. But this, like, when I think of her, I think of the queen of self-love. Literally, like I don't know, like I strive to be like her all the time because I'm like I need to love myself a little more. So her, like, even just like her Facebook post, I'm like, yes, like, you know what, that I need to do that. I need to do that. And I am actually like we call each other sis now. Like we're sisters. And I love that. She is amazing. And I want to be the one to introduce her.
Go ahead.
I'm taking it. And let's welcome, my sister from another mister, Allegra Pacheco. Welcome in.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome to
Thank
the
you
podcast.
so much. Yes, thank you. And what an honor to be on this show. I just want to thank you both. I know we met a while back, and I just absolutely love both of you, and I love your relationship, and I love what you're doing, because I think that we need so much more love on this earth. So thank you. It's such an honor to be here today, and I'm grateful to God, first of all, to have provided this opportunity, and also to both of you just for asking me to be here. And thank you so much for that intro, Bree. That was so beautiful, and it made me tear up. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
No, I got you. No, I got you. And
Well, the t-shirt's ready this time.
yeah, we got to. But I even like we've done some stuff together, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this podcast without wearing like my earrings from Allegra's collection because
Mhm.
I was like so in love with it. Like I bought this dress literally for this collection. I
Oh, I
was like,
love that.
I
I
need
love
an
that.
outfit with this. So like I was like, I'm gonna wear the earrings today. So I wore them to church. And I mean, look at your earrings. Like,
Thank you. You're absolutely beautiful and you rock those. And thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. I love that you did that. And thank you. You absolutely rocked it, the cherry collection. So thank you for being one of my models. I
no, thank
absolutely
you.
appreciate you. Yes.
Yeah, and it was a great experience actually. Like I had never done something like that, but you tell us, like tell everybody who you are, what you do, because you don't just do like one thing, you do a lot of things. Like you're a busy woman. So let our audience know who you
Yes.
are.
Yes. So first of all, I'm a child of God. And second of all, I'm a woman that's on a healing mission. Self-healing has been pretty much my focus for the last 3 years intensely, but really 8 to 9 years I've been on this healing journey, just sort of um, reflecting and doing some introspection as far as like who I am, asking myself a lot of deep questions. And through that healing journey, it's also brought some changes into my life. So those changes are part of sort of my evolution. And I know that, when we change, sometimes everything around us changes. And I'm a prime example of that. As far as my life goes, I feel like part of my mission, part of the reason that I'm here is to spread more love into the
Mhm.
world. And I feel that that love starts with self, because if we don't love ourselves, it's my opinion that we can't love other people genuinely and truly.
Mhm.
So, through that process of learning to love myself, I have had so many things stripped away from me, and almost come to a point where the woman sitting here today is not the woman that I was 8 years ago. As a matter of fact, I don't even know who that woman is, but I'm very grateful to her because she brought me to this point in my life right now. And part of what my passion is helping others. I started just with women, but I also enjoy working with men because men have told me that they find value in what I do as well. So
Mm.
I'm expanding that, but really just learning to be comfortable with themselves. That's what I really have a passion with, is learning to teach others to come to that point of self-love, self-respect, self-dependence, and as far as that goes, that has sort of evolved into a passion with what I do. I've always been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I am also a woman that is a mother that raised my daughter since the year 1 year old. I raised her as a single mother. And so part of that is also part of my story. So I have always worked, and I have always had several different jobs. Um, so moving into my healing era, it's sort of like I shed. Like, the best way that I could give an example would be when you're talking about a snake shedding its skin, and all of a
Mm,
Mm.
sudden I've shed all of this old me. And part of that old me was several things. It was my relationship, it was my home, it was my career, it was people that I thought were in my corner, but actually weren't. So I came to a place of really just asking myself, like, what am I doing? I mean, really, like, what am I doing? And that was the fundamental question that sort of led me towards this path of change. I currently am still an entrepreneur. I own a business. So I own Havana's 13, which is a small store that carries handmade jewelry, crystals, spiritual cleansing gifts, vegan cosmetics, but I also teach women fitness, and I'm a fitness instructor licensed in 3 different types of fitness. I do Zumba, I do Zumba Gold, I do Zumba toning, I do mixed fit, and I also do seated chair workouts. And as I was mentioning, like as we grow and we change, part of what has helped me grow and change has been trying things that maybe in the past I never would try before. So like, you
Mm.
know, I was doing Zumba. So in the sense of like expanding that reach to now, I found something that is probably one of the most passionate things that I'm doing right now. And that's teaching people in nursing homes and rehabilitation centers workouts. And like, when you think of that, to me, it's more than just a workout, because every day that I go there and I get to sit across these amazing people who have limited mobility, who have limited cognitive ability sometimes, as well as like dealing with so many things, when I sit across them and I'm able to share a smile with them for like 30 minutes, you know, and see their mood change, like from being sad and being like sitting there in a chair slumped over to all of a sudden we start moving our bodies. You know, I'm making jokes, I'm making them laugh. And before you know it, that is like so much of a heart activity for me. That is like, to me, that's just, you couldn't put a price on it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
something that is like, it's priceless. So to be able to go in there and to even try that, you know, like that was something that I tried differently. And that's part of what I've done a lot, is I've been brave. Like I've been brave and open to try new things, like teaching in a nursing facility. You know, like I had my grandparents in a nursing facility, but you know, and those weren't the best of memories. But for me, going back there and doing it different is really healing, because it's almost like, for me, that's part of my healing, is giving back to others. And that's also part of giving love to others, which is part of my mission, because many of these people in these homes, they don't have anyone that checks on them. They don't have anyone that calls them, that goes to visit them. So when I go there, it's like I get to know their names. I get, you know, I'll shake their hands, I'll touch them, I'll talk to them, give them a pat on the back. And it's like such a huge, it's like such a huge energy shift and such a huge gift to be part of that process,
Mhm.
working with those people, you know. So that's part of what I do as well. And I also, I'm also doing a lot of stuff with women when it comes to like coaching, self-love, self-care. I have different challenges that I do as well. And I'm also speaking, just sharing my story and getting it out there. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell. But really, I am a woman that has been learning for the last 9, 10 years, and really my whole life, I feel, how to be nicer to myself, how to be kinder to myself, how to be more loving to myself at most. And I feel like that's a journey that is ongoing. It's not something that we just do and, oh my gosh, I graduated, I love myself, and now, you know, there's nothing else for me to do. I
Yeah.
feel like through every stage of our life, because we grow and change, we have a different version of us that we get to love as we move along. And so
Mhm.
that's sort of my story in a nutshell, and what kind of what I do. So
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, when I first met you and then I started to get to know you, I was like, yeah, this is like the queen of self-love, of kindness, of like just spreading love to everybody. And I love what you were saying, because I think when we first started um learning about ourselves individually, like things started changing for us.
Yep.
because I know like he's mentioned that he started being curious about who he was and all of that stuff. And then he started being curious about me. And that made me curious about me because I had never even stopped to think about, who I was or anything like that. Like I lived my life in survival mode. So it was never like, okay, like why am I like this? Why am I always in survival? Why am I always getting emotional when somebody's like attempting to attack me? Why, things like that. And I love that you said that because even till this day, like it's already been a few years and we just keep learning new things about each other and about ourselves as individuals. And it's insane to me. I'm like, wow, like I can just imagine down the road how much more we're going to learn, that things that
Exactly.
we could have never like even thought about, right? And just being curious about you, it just creates this new person in you, and
Oh
it
yeah,
makes you so much better. Like you don't have to stay the way you are.
Yeah, it's kind of
exactly.
like what you touched on, that once you become curious, you basically start removing the weight that the world put on you, and you discover who was in there,
Yeah.
in like you mentioned, in that core, who you
Yeah.
are, why you like certain stuff, why you don't like certain stuff, why you react a certain way, so on and so forth. Because I believe that growing up, because we don't know, right? We sometimes we didn't have guidance or a teacher teaching us the way, um, or maybe we're just not ready to see the truth or believe it or really take it in.
Yeah.
So we just look around us and see what the world is doing, and we just start piling in it. So like, oh, we're gonna do that and see if that makes us happy. Well, it didn't. So let's go ahead and do another thing. Oh, that didn't either. So on and so forth until you get to the point of like what's really going on. Why do I continue going down this path of cycles of going there, going here, and nothing seems to work, even though around us people are telling us, no, you have to do that. And once you stop, take a minute to really think, and that's when the Lord comes in, when you're just by yourself in your thoughts, and He shows you who He made you to be,
Hmm.
how you were created in His image. And yeah, it's one of those things where, of course, it's hard to let go of those things that the world is telling you to have, but they're necessary things to let go of to make room for what God truly has planned for you.
That's so true. Yeah, and I think that you brought up a really good point because um I feel like you have to be open to that. You have to be open to the fact that, like you were saying, Bree, that who you've been and who you were, it doesn't have to always stay the same, right? And like for me, you touched on something like repetitive patterns. When we talk about repetitive patterns, and as a person, we're experiencing repetitive patterns. Sure, it's great to like look outside and be like, oh, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's this fault, it's this fault. But if you really want growth, you have to look at yourself and you have to say, why am I stuck in this repetitive pattern over and over and over? And for me, that's my story. Like I was stuck in repetitive patterns of toxic relationships, and not all of them were toxic, but for me, um, there were several that were toxic, and not just a little toxic, but really toxic. And at some point, it's like after experiencing so much hurt and so much pain, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what am I doing? And I think that that's when life changed for me, when I stopped asking, like, why is this person doing this? But
Mhm.
rather, why am I allowing this person to do this? Right. And when we ask ourself, our inner person, like, why do I keep on allowing to be mistreated, for example? I mean, that's a question, that's a really deep question that many of us who are stuck in repetitive patterns and lifestyles, we don't ever stop to ask ourselves that. But when we do, and we can answer that honestly, like for me, for example, like, yes, I was involved in toxic relationships, but at some point I got to own the fact that I had toxic traits myself.
Mm,
Because if I didn't have toxic traits, I wouldn't have been attracted to that. I wouldn't have been in that situation.
Mhm.
So for me, I do enjoy talking about, because I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So like I do like educating people, women, men, about those types of relationships. But at the same time, paired with that, I had to get to a point that I had to ask myself, like, I want trust, but am I trustworthy?
mm,
I want respect, but am I respectful? I want truth, but am I honest? Right. And many times I see this, that we're always eager to blame the other person, but we don't look inside of ourselves. And for me, it was like one of those moments where I really just had to get straight with myself and be like, you know, you want this and you want that, but you're not even being that for yourself. So when I could really see that my desires were sort of met empty because I was empty, that was
mm,
like a game changer. And, you know, and like even little examples, like, this is a small example. I don't really think that it's toxic, but it's the smallest example that I could give. Like, for the longest time, I didn't take responsibility, like, for what I ate. I didn't even like, I just kind of thought like, well, that's not really my responsibility, you know, like, so however I eat, I eat. It wasn't a priority to me. It was like, if it's fast food, if it's, you know, my partner bringing it to me, I would rather someone else provide that for me because it's easier. But then when I started to respect myself and my temple and my body and my condition, because I had a physical condition. I got sick with breast implant illness. And because of that, I had to follow a strict diet and regime in order to continue to live and to
mm,
heal from the inside out. So when I was met with that challenge, it really made me sort of see, like, how am I showing up for myself, right? Do I find it hard to get up and walk into the kitchen and make myself a nutritious plate? But yet I'm expecting for someone else to do that for me. If I can't do that for myself, then I certainly cannot expect that from someone else. And that was like a big eye opener for me, because part of what I do right now is I absolutely love to cook. I absolutely
mm,
love food. That's one of my love languages. Everyone that I love, I feed them. Like, you know, like I'll give my family food, I'll give my uncles food, my aunts, you know, so my friends, my daughter. So for me, that was a huge change in the game, because I remember that, like, before I almost expected my partner to like take care of the fact that I hadn't eaten. And I realized when doing some introspect that that's actually my responsibility first and foremost. And like, if someone else can add to that, that's amazing and that's wonderful. But I should be able to do that for myself. So when I started to see those certain little habits that I had, that was like a game changer. And you know, like for me, it's really been an exciting journey, because I have gotten to know so much about myself. Like, you know, like you guys were saying a while ago, like sometimes I didn't even know that I liked certain foods because I didn't even take the time to explore that. That wasn't like,
mhm,
you know, like that wasn't part of my priorities. So I feel like when we switch, and like for me, it was a matter of, yes, I was in a situation, and I had several situations that were not the best relationships, but my life really didn't change until I stopped blaming them and started asking, what is wrong with me that I keep on finding myself in these relationships? And one of the big things was for me was that I didn't have any boundaries. I had no boundaries. I was like, you know, sure, you need my credit card. You don't want to work. Fine. You know, like I was just, I guess you could say settling,
mm,
because I felt like for me, it goes back to like, you know, I was a single mom back when being a single mom wasn't cool. I mean, that was like 26 years ago, you know, and it's gotten a little more relaxed now as far as that goes. But back then it was really not the best situation. So,
It was
you know,
shameful
like
to be a single mom.
it was very shameful, yes. So because it was so shameful, like I felt like, oh my gosh, I have to get into a relationship because I can't be the only single mom at my
Mm-hmm.
daughter's school. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
every time I got into a relationship, it wasn't like, I want to get into a relationship because I think this person's amazing and I want to spend the rest of my life with them. It was more like a need, like I have to do this because of what other people think. And that's
Mm.
what led my life, you know, like for so long. I mean, for so long, I let the fear of what other people thought run me instead of like, what do I think? What do I want? What do I, you know, what is something that I look for in a relationship, in a friendship, in a business ship, you know, in a business partnership? So those are all things that I feel like really that process of getting to know myself. Um, and for me, like the relationship that I was in, the last relationship that I was in was a very toxic one. And I actually changed throughout that relationship. And I know that I've heard you guys talk about this before, and I absolutely agree with it, that you can be in a relationship and work on yourself, and your partner can work on themselves at the same time. But my situation was I was working on myself and I outgrew this person.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's like it has to be both parties because it can't just be one. You know, like when we started seeing each other, I wasn't drinking, you know, I was drinking, he was drinking, and then, you know, we both stopped together. That was one thing. But then, you know, later on, it was just certain things that I was starting to do work on myself, and he was just saying he was doing work on himself. He actually wasn't, you know. So at one point, I had to make, and I also had to go to a therapist. I started seeing a therapist as well. That was the one that actually opened my eyes to the situation that I was in. But, you know,
Mm.
my story is I'm a childhood trauma survivor. So for many years, I carried a lot of pain around with me that I never addressed. And so, you know, like Moises was saying earlier, you will, you know, you might try one thing and then, you know, you try something else. And like for me, I just was like hurting inside, and I was doing everything that I could to find something to stop my pain
Mm-hmm.
rather than like addressing that pain. And many times that was relationships, and it didn't matter. Like if you think about the girl who just finished one relationship and got into another one because she's so scared that she'll never find anyone else. That was me. And I lived that, like, you know, and that's not something. That's why for me, it has been so powerful because this is the first time in my life that I have taken time to know me, to
Yeah.
date me, to love me, because I understand like this isn't the end of my road. I do want a partner. I do want love. I do want a relationship, but it has been immensely healing to have that space in between. And I feel like many times people don't do that. Like they don't get over one heartache and then
Mhm.
they start with another. And that was my story. And that's why, like, I'm just so proud of myself that I didn't go down that road this time, that I did
Yeah.
it different, you know?
No, I mean we're so proud of you too. And you literally like there was like so much to unpack there because you said some really good stuff
Mhm.
um that I feel like kind of needs to be talked about, you know, a little bit. But I mean, it was so much stuff. I'm like trying to like pick one.
Yep. The Don't mind if I go first.
No, go ahead.
The first one, and this might be strong for either couples in a relationship and they're thinking like, is this the right person for me, so on and so forth. People dating, people that are maybe even married for such a long time and they're in that period, or single people looking to date. One thing I've heard is if your partner was a representation of how much you love yourself, what does that say about you? And I mean, when I heard it, I was like, I'm good. But then I put myself
Yes.
in my wife's position when with her past relationships and what she has gone through,
Yeah.
and I'm like, my God, that is a deep question. Um, but yeah, it's like for the audience out there, ask yourself that question: if your partner was a representation of how much you love yourself, what does that say about you? Of how much
Yeah.
you love you?
Yeah. No, and then like what you were saying about the expectations, right?
Hmm.
I thought that was huge because we've touched on it before, but the expectations that you have for other people, like, do you have for yourself, right? And I love what you said, that you're like, I'm asking for trust, but can they trust me, right? And a lot of times people in relationships, people in even like just dating, they they expect a certain thing from their partner, but
Hmm.
they're not even close to any of it. And we tell our son all the time, like my husband tells him, like, because he has expectations, right? Like he'll come and he'll be like, oh, like, um is food ready, right? Like he has this expectation of me having food ready at a certain time. And then my husband's like, dude, like, you have these high expectations for your mom, but yet the expectations that you have for yourself are not even close to that. So when you
Yes.
said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that, like, we tend to do that in relationships too. Like we're just
Yes.
especially like single people that are trying to find someone, they're like, oh, like, we even like said it one time, like like there's somebody looking for like this beautiful woman, and like she needs to be fit, and she needs to do this, and she needs to do that, but then the guy does never work out, is always eating fast food, and like has no job, and it's like no, like,
Totally.
how is that? Your expectation is like way too high for
Yeah.
you not even putting anything on the table. Right? So
Yes.
it's like, so I love that you said that, because man, like, I think that's like a key point
Hmm.
to any kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Even the relationship with yourself, especially the relationship with yourself.
Yeah. And I believe one of the biggest things that you touched on that helps at the individual level, yes. Yeah, tremendously in the individual level, but also in the relationship realm, is you work on yourself. Because
Yes.
that's what I did. When I started working on me, I wasn't like, "Hey, babe, come along with me," kind of deal. It was like, "Hey, I'm doing this." It was out of the blue, but she saw me, and she saw automatically, without me even asking, it was like, I respect that, and
Yes.
because you're improving, I'm enticed to improve as well. I don't want to be left behind, and
Yes.
unironically, that has been all of our relationship this entire time since we started dating. And I mean, we met when I was 19, and she was a 25-year-old mother of a 3-year-old already working, had her own home. I was a broke college kid living at mom's, 19 years old, no job. So it's one of those things where
Junkie car.
junkie car. I go back is like, how does this make sense? She still is, uh, but even back then, she was very independent. How would she trust a 19-year-old kid to not only have a relationship with, but potentially raise a family with and live with, and so on and so forth? And it would, at least for me, I don't know. I think it was because of where I grew up in. I had to become the man of the house essentially, just because the other men in the house didn't step up. So I think that just led me to when we met. I'm like, I'm going in this direction because I'm improving myself, and if you want to come, you can, but if not, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And
and I relate so much to you as a person, honestly, because a lot of stuff that you're saying, I'm like, that's like me.
yeah,
Like even
Yeah.
when you were talking about, going to the nursing homes, like I remember as a teenager, I put myself in this youth group, And one time we went to a nursing home and we did like a casino night for them. And
Uh-huh.
it was the most like amazing experience to just see these like older people just be so excited, and like they wanted to give us money, and like they're giving us candy, and we're like,
Oh,
no, no,
no.
like, and we
Yeah.
just were there to like, cheer them up, because like you said, sometimes they have nobody to go visit them, and they were so happy and excited, and that to me was like big, because I had lost my safe person, which was my grandmother. And going to other grandparents, and even till this day, when like we there's this grandma at church that, she has her kids and she has her grandkids. And one time she came to me and she was like, "You're doing a great job." Because I was in church, and our kids just sometimes they're kids. And you as a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, like, they don't let you hear and stuff. And I think she felt that I was already to the point where like, oh, like, and she was like, "You're doing a great job." Like, she's like, "I had 5 kids and I went through this, and you're doing great." And I started like crying. I didn't even turn around to look at her because she was behind me. I started crying and she laughed, and I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Oh,
she like filled me, like she just help me keep going.
yes.
So like just having like those people, those older people that see you and kind of like just bring joy to you, it's amazing. So when you were saying that, I was like, it reminded me of that time. And then like
Yes.
you said about like the cycle of like you just going to relationship after relationship, that was me. Like, I never took a moment to just be me, right? Even with
Yes.
like my son, like it was like, not that I needed somebody to help me with him, but I think I just always thought that I needed protection from a man. And I mean, we
Yes.
just we just had this podcast discussion like 2 podcasts ago, where to me that was like an addiction of like looking for the next partner and looking for the next partner and not take time for myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when you said that, I was like, yeah, that was totally me. And like, even when we started dating, like, my son's dad was like the babysitter of the house. I don't know. But him and I, we just weren't like, it was just not a good relationship. So when I met him and he was 19, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, I mean, he opens the door for me, so he's gotta be better somehow.
Yeah.
Because he would, like, nobody ever did that. And he was younger, and I was like, he opens the car door, like all the doors for me. I'm like, that must be good, right? Who cares if he
Yes.
doesn't have money? Like, I'll make the cash. But because I didn't take time to be like, who am I?
Mhm.
What do I want from a relationship? Like, what do I truly need from a relationship? Do I even love myself? Because even being in a relationship with him, like, honestly, it didn't get to this deep connection until I started loving myself, right?
Yep.
Like, when he started doing the work and then I started, we got much deeper into our love, our connection, everything, until I started loving who I was.
Mhm.
Not
And
the
this was already married with
and we were already
kids.
married with kids, and we had already been with each other for like a good amount of time.
Yep.
And it was just like we're just living this, and I loved him, but when I started loving myself, the love for him was just at a different level. Like, it was strange to me. I was like, I didn't even know you could love this much. Like, it was
Yeah.
so weird to me.
That is so cool. Yeah, that is so cool. And I think that thank you for sharing that because I feel like that really goes along like what I was saying in the beginning, that when we
Hmm.
love ourselves, we can truly love others. And that's what I feel this world needs so much of right now. That's why I'm such a huge fan of love. Like, it's so much easier to hate than what it is to love. And right now, there's so much hate out there. But when we come in with the love, like, there's nothing that could ever stop that. And the thing is, like, when we love ourselves, the love that we experience, just as you mentioned, Brie, is so much more amplified because
Hmm.
we're at a level that we're able to accept that, right? Because when we don't love ourselves, many times we don't accept love because we don't have it for ourselves, right? We push people away, we hurt those, but when we truly find that connection to ourselves, and to me, like, God made me. So why wouldn't I love everything about me, from my head to my toes, to my nails, whatever it is? And that's one huge thing that has really saved me, because I feel like in this society, especially as women, we're conditioned and programmed, especially with all the gibberish out there nowadays, about what your expectations are to be a quote unquote beautiful woman. And to me,
Hmm.
beauty is internal. It starts inside and it exudes outside. But really, like, the message that we have never been given is that we are beautiful just because we are. We're God's children. We're all beautiful. And many times we try to, like, we're trying to be like other people. And that's why I talk about, like, altering our bodies and stuff like that. And part of respecting yourself is respecting your temple. That
Hmm.
goes to respecting the way that you dress, that goes to respecting the way that you show up in the world. Because
Mhm.
I feel like we've gone way another way. Like, there is no self-respect. And to me, more is more. Like, the more covered up you are, the more it is to me, because I feel like the message has gone the other way when it comes to women's expectations and what society tries to place on you. Especially, like, I do a lot of research when it comes to, like, the fashion world, the beauty world. I'm a licensed cosmetologist and I've been for several years, so that's part of one of my passions. And there's like a huge trend towards doing like a lot of work on yourself. And I always talk about the cautionary things about that, because I think many times that gets crossed in society. It gets told like, oh, well, I love myself because I did this to myself. But really,
Hmm.
you actually love yourself when you accept yourself just the way that God made you. Because when you start to mess with that stuff, you're playing with creation. And
No.
my experience is, you don't play with creation because there's consequences. And that's why part of my passion is talking about how, like, beautiful we are just because we are. And we're all beautiful, we're all God's children. And like, once we learn that about ourselves, that for me is like also so helpful, just knowing that
Hmm.
I am the daughter of my creator. That is such a beautiful feeling to actually have, and that bond is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny how I don't know how many podcasts we've gone, but it I don't know why we end up always talking about our first fight, because it had to do with her appearance. Our first fight was like we went. Did we go out together that night, or I just showed up?
No,
Um,
so when we talk about, you're not the person that you used to be. I because I was in all these relationships, I didn't love myself, I didn't know myself, like I was independent, like I nobody told me what to do ever. Like my parents were not, like I lived by myself, so I would go out drinking, I would go out partying, and I already had my son, right? And one of those times, I mean, he was 19, he couldn't even go to the
no.
bars. But like I went out with one of my friends, and at that time, like, because society tells you like you have to dress this way, like, to get attention, feel sexy and stuff like that, like I borrowed my friend's dress, and it was like the like I'm just gonna say it like the sluttiest dress ever. So it was short, but it had like an opening here, right? And I was wearing like one of those like sparkly bras because that was the thing.
Yeah.
And I went out like that, and usually would like come and hang out with him
Hmm.
after the club. So we were going to go to eat.
Whataburger,
Yeah, we're gonna go
5
to
a.m.
5 a.m. in the morning. And he told me, you're not going dressed like that. So here's a 19-year-old kid, me 25, independent, makes her own money. Like, he's like saying to me, like, you're not going to go dress like that. And I was like, excuse me. And that was another thing that I was like told through society, was like, and even like family members, like, don't ever let a man tell you what to do, right? And me, instead of thinking like, well, he's telling me what to do because he cares, because this isn't something bad for me, right? Like, I could have thought about, like, you know what, actually, like, I shouldn't be dressing like this. No, I got defensive and I was like, you're not gonna tell me what to wear. Like, I'm gonna go however the heck I want because I'm independent.
Yeah.
I make my own money. Like,
She said, if you don't like it, there's a
there's the
door.
door.
We're like, oh snap. All right. But
And then he was like, I'm out. Just kidding.
you end up changing.
I ended up changing.
But it's one of those things when it comes to that, it's so true, right? Again, it's showing yourself real love, not putting under the I guess the illusion of real love, but all you're really doing is putting yourself in a position to get as close to feeling love for yourself by dressing a certain way, going out there, being the eye catcher of both men and women, and then going back home, receiving that love, and then it's like, okay, well, I have to continue doing that if I want to feel that again.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, it's kind of like when you were a kid with Christmas, right? You didn't look for your cousin's present; you looked for yours, right? Even if you knew what it was in there, the fact that it was wrapped, you didn't see a peek of it, so on and so forth. The fact that it had your name and it was for
Yeah.
you from a certain person, that's the way I see my wife when she's covered up. Like, she's my gift to me,
Love
and
it.
she
Yeah.
she will I get to unwrap her. Only I can do that, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Oh,
I
goodness.
absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And I agree with you so much. Like, especially as I get older, I have such appreciation for that. I really do, because I think that there is, and this is what I relate it to, like, I believe because there is such a lack of self-love, people are always seeking outside of
Mhm.
themselves, and that's one of the ways in which they seek. And just like you said, that is fake attention, that is fake love. That kind of attention that you get from that energy is going to be something that's very temporary. It's nothing that's deep. It's nothing that's going to be hearty, in my opinion. But yet, when we don't know that we can give ourselves that attention, like, one of my things I love to do is I absolutely love to dress up. And like, today was an opportunity for me to dress up, because during the week I'm usually like working out in my sweats and stuff. So I think it's important that, as a woman, that we take care of our physical appearance. However, what we have been conditioned and programmed to believe is sexy, is attractive, is whatever you want to call it, is actually not, in fact, the truth. That is not the truth. That is a lie. Like, if you want something meaningful, like I've always said, you have to start with yourself. And I have a daughter who's younger, so part of my mission is to encourage younger women that are just coming up, because it's so different. Like, for me, there wasn't a lot of pressure for me to do surgery, but now these 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, they're all doing stuff to themselves, and I don't agree with it. And when I say that, it bothers some people, but I feel like sometimes we have to take a stand. And
Mhm.
there's some things that people aren't going to like about it, what we say. But for me, I think it's gone way overboard. And I just love what you said about that is your present. And I absolutely agree with that. I feel like there's too much of a need of like, because we're not happy here, we want to be everywhere. And like,
Mhm.
that's not, I don't like that kind of attention. I don't crave that kind of attention. I like to be, behind. I don't like to be noticed. I don't like to call attention to myself. So for me, it's different when you respect yourself, because when you respect yourself, you receive attention, but it's a different kind. It is a
Hmm.
total different kind of attention when you can show up and you have that self-respect for yourself. And because just like you were saying, Brie, I've been there too, like trying to, you know, dress a certain way, or, I've been there too. And that's just not something that I'm in alignment with, like I
Yeah.
believe that we should respect ourselves. And that's why I talk about like, feeding your temple, working out your temple, making sure that you're presentable, making sure that you're groomed. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You always have to just wash yourself, take care of yourself, be
Hmm.
presentable. And I feel like I've seen this a lot because I work with women that sometimes when they get into relationships, they let themselves go and they don't like groom themselves. They don't take care of themselves. And I think regardless, like, I do this for me. I don't do this. I don't get dressed. I don't do my makeup because I'm trying to attract anyone. I do this because I love the way I look and I love the way I feel. And I feel like that's important, regardless if we're with someone or not. I think we should
Hmm.
always take care of ourselves and always respect ourselves. And that's why I'm really big on respecting the temple that God has blessed us with, because once you lose your health, you really have appreciation for the gift that it is to even see and move and hear and love. So I just wanted to share that
100%.
part.
No,
No,
that's awesome.
100%. Because yeah, we have both felt the effects of when we're not at our, I don't want to say our best, because, or where we're not perfect, because we will never achieve perfection. But what really matters above everything else is when you look in the mirror and the feelings that come up. And if they're negative feelings, then something needs to change. And sometimes, yes, to a certain extent, it can be the environment that you're in. But at the end of the day, it's the person looking back at you that needs
Yeah.
to improve, needs to change something, needs to stop doing something. Because there's been days where I look in the mirror and I'm like, what happened to you, dude? And it's like, yeah, you go in that negative spiral, but then that transfers into our relationship, because then that leads to like, how is this woman even attracted to me? Well, what's the point of even kind of trying, because she's not attracted to me, obviously. It's whatever, right? And it's like, well, I'm not even going to try. And then that leads to no more connection. Then that leads to thinking like, I don't love her anymore, and so on and so forth. And that's the spiral. Well,
Yeah.
where did it all start? With me.
Yeah, it's crazy how you
Yeah.
said that because I was literally just thinking like of those times where because yeah, I love dressing up. I love like I am a girly girl. Like
Yeah.
I just I love like I can relate to like when women are like no like like last time Ashley put a post about like I'm not a pastel princess, and I was like I'm a pastel princess, like call me that please, because like I just love like dress. I love feeling like a little princess, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it's funny that you were saying that because my husband prefers me with no makeup. Like sometimes I literally could look like I live on the streets. And he is like, you look so sexy. Like, oh, look at this beautiful woman. And I'm like, are your glasses broken? Or he sees me beautiful, but then I'm like, I look crazy. And it's like, well, like I need to love myself to be able to receive that love, first of all. And when I do stuff for me, is for me. Like I put on makeup for me, like you said.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
sometimes I dress up a certain way for me, but that I know he's gonna like, right? Like
Yes.
he loves sundresses. Like he's like sundresses are his thing for me. Sometimes I'm like I'm
Yeah.
gonna wear this sundress because I feel cute and all of this, and then my husband's gonna love it.
Yep.
But
Yes.
it's so true what you said, and I love that you're saying that. I love like all of this that you've been saying is just like we had no idea what this conversation or where it was gonna go, right? But everything that you've said, I feel like it applies to just everyone and anyone that listens to this
Hmm.
podcast because we all need to learn to love ourselves the most, right?
Yep.
Love God and love you.
Yep.
And
Yes.
once you do that, all the love that you start getting from the people around you, you'll be able to receive it much more
Hmm.
like better, and it'll be like much more felt,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've told, and because I've experienced this personally, but once you start loving you, improving yourself, you will that will show everywhere. Of course, obviously in the relationships, that will show in your career, in how much money you make. Because once I started loving myself, our income and the type of work that I do now, it's better than the one that I was doing before. I mean, we're doing the podcast now. We did this turned into a show. We're doing a whole coaching
Uh,
program for relationships, so on and so forth. But it came from that core, that foundation of I care about me, and now I just want to show that to the world of like, hey, this is how you do it. This is like literally a lot of stuff grows from within, which is you, and how you take care of that core, then that'll bleed and start feeding the foundation of everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, Allegra, it's a true blessing that you came on and just you shared from your heart. And I really, really appreciate that because I didn't even know we needed this talk. You know, like I thought it was just going to go somewhere else. But I feel like this is the perfect way to end the season one of our
Mhm.
podcast. Um, because it's just so powerful.
Yep.
And I just want to say thank you. And I have some questions for you, but I think I'm gonna save those for the Prospera TV Network show. Um,
okay.
and they are strong. Maybe we'll start with one strong question, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah,
Okay.
but thank you for being in this podcast. And before we end this, if you want to let them know where to find you, where to look for you.
Sure. I'm most active on Facebook and under my name, Allegra Havana Pacheco. And I also have my business page, Havana's 13. My website is havanas13.com. So they can also find information about my fitness classes and courses and stuff on there as well.
And I thank you because of you. Now I can say that I did a model and that my wife is a model. And I love that.
Yes.
I love what she's wearing right now, the earrings and even the
Yes.
necklace that she has. I think it brings up her eyes more, which I love. And one little flex that I threw out there as far as like when it comes to why I find her beautiful even without makeup is because the makeup enhances her beauty, which nowadays a lot of people are looking for enhancers. This is all
So
natural
true.
and it's just enhanced
Yes.
by makeup. So little flex out there that I can say.
Stop, you making me blush.
I love
And
that. Yes. I,
no, but
I
thank you
love
so
it.
much. And I can't wait for the show.
Yeah.
It's gonna be as
Thank
great.
you.
So if you guys are ready, head on to the Prospera TV Network, doing a raw relationship goals. We'll see you there.
We'll see you all there.